Hey, this is Captain Pablo.
And I'm Chris, as you'll see, also known as Mrs. Close, the Admiral.
Commodore.
Essentially, I was the first mate.
She was the boss. This is what we call episode 0 of videos we're going to put on YouTube about our recent passage last summer from San Francisco to Hawaii, around Hawaii, and then back to the San Francisco Bay on our wonderful Valiant 39 Sugar Pine. We've had Sugar Pine since 2012, right?
2012, yeah.
And we've had her from Canada. We've coasted from Canada to Southern California. A lot of trips down to Monterey Bay from San Francisco. We had her in Portland for a while. But we wanted to do blue water, but given our lives, weren't going to sail around the world. So we found an excuse last year for what we call our 40/50 anniversary, which we met 50 years ago in the summer of '69, just like the song says, and married 10 years later. And being the foolish people we are, instead of having a party with all our friends and family, we decided, let's sail our boat to Hawaii and renew our vows on a nice beach over there, which we did.
Which was wonderful. It was wonderful. Our kids came and joined us, and we had a great time with them over there, our kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
It was great.
Anyway, we watched our sailing experiences. I was fortunate to sail with my really good friend Cass, which stands for Captain Asshole Sir, around the South Pacific, but about almost 20 years ago now. So I had some blue water experience as a crew member, but never as a captain of our own vessel. So we consider ourselves, even though we've been sailing almost all our lives, we consider ourselves posers. So we wanted to learn as much as we could before we went off on this crazy adventure. So we watched a lot of YouTube videos that people were kind enough to put up, and we really learned a lot.
And after he had done this trip, at that time I was sort of like, there's no way I ever want to do that. But after hearing his stories, I started to feel differently about it and warmed up to the idea. And then when we got Sugar Pine, really felt like I could possibly do that. So my motivation was I didn't want to own this beautiful boat that was built to sail on the oceans and not do it, and then 10 years down the road when I'm too old to regret it. And I know I would have regretted it. So I'm really glad that we did do it. And
so before we left, we got a GoPro, and between our phones and the GoPro, tried to do a little videoing most every day. And the videos that we're putting up are mostly the raw footage. It's certainly not as polished as a lot of the videos that we looked at, more polished than others. Mainly we just are slicing out redundant pieces or bad footage.
But we really want to put a thank you out there to the people who did the videos, and us putting ours up is a way to pay forward that education that those videos provided to us, because for me it was great to see what things looked like out in the ocean and what it was really like, because you hear horror stories and about these huge seas, and what we saw in the videos was that it looked really quite nice, and of course it's mixed, and we saw mixed weather. We didn't see any horror story kind of conditions, but essentially I felt after watching the videos that I could manage that. So we appreciate that and want to pay that forward and let other people see what our experience was.
Not to mention, it's really fun for us to watch these videos as we make them and relive the whole thing. We've actually put Sugar Pine up for sale. Tough decision that we made in the middle of the ocean. We weren't actually going to come back to the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. Our plan was to take her back up to the northwest, probably Columbia River on Portland, and then go back up to Canada, which is just absolutely beautiful. But in the middle of the ocean, Chris, aka Mrs. Close, asked me one afternoon as we were enjoying our meal, gee, do you think one of these summers we could just stay home at Tahoe, which is where we live? And that started a conversation which lasted a couple of days. We had a few days because if we were going to come to the Bay Area, we were going to have to make a right turn, so we were headed for the northwest. Anyway, we decided that we had done what we had set out to do with Sugar Pine, and it was everything we were going to do, looking forward to doing, was going to be a repeat. And when you have a boat like Sugar Pine, she just calls to you. It takes lots of your time. Preparation, then the voyages themselves, and there's many other things we want to do with what's left of our lives. So we decided that while we won't give up sailing, we'll get another boat for the lake. It's time to pass Sugar Pine on this to somebody who can really use her for what she's made for, which is crossing oceans and more serious adventures. So what you'll see in these videos, we start with provisioning. Maybe Chris can talk about the planning and everything, and then kind of just what a day's like, what it's kind of like out there day by day.
So actually the preparations were considerable, and we started them in the winter, not the winter ahead of our trip, but the one before that. And we did some re-rigging, and we did a lot of other things to the boat, new refrigeration, and then continuing through the next winter, did a lot of canvas work, which was pretty satisfying to me. I like to sew, but lots of preparations and planning everything, all the food and what medications and first aid stuff we needed, and clothes, and just everything you can think of to plan. And then the actual provisioning was it was a big job. And you get a glimpse of it because the first video shows me trying to put stuff away on the boat. And being the posers that we are, we opted for safety. So examples of that is we installed an Iridium Go for satellite communications, and on top of all the other communication equipment that Sugar Pine has, and things like personal AIS devices for our PFDs. And we also took our time getting over there and pretty much getting back. We could have gone faster, but we kept things reefed down, especially at night. Things to prepare for are, first of all, get your sleep regimen worked out. If you're just especially if you're a couple.
If you're sailing with two, if you're going to keep somebody awake all the time, it's really tough to get enough sleep. And people told me that. I listened, but I had to go into the depths of sleep deprivation before it really hit home. And,
I sleep a little more easily, but we were pretty loose to start, and we paid for it. So we had to quick get a schedule and then stick to it. And when the weather started to get nicer, it was hard sometimes to force myself to go lay down when the day was nice, but it was my turn to sleep. You have to do it. So that was one of the things that I thought was hard.
Yeah, when it's a beautiful day and it's nice and warm and you just want to stay out there and watch, it's hard to go to sleep. Not to mention, it was pretty bouncy for us and pretty noisy. As captain, I'm always listening for noises. And one morning I was on watch and saw a telephone pole go right by the side of the boat. And you see something like that, and then
It keeps you up at night.
It makes it a little harder to sleep. We learned a lot. We learned a lot about sailing. We learned a lot about the ocean. We learned a lot about each other too, I think.
I learned how to use a ham radio system.
Yeah, Chris would call into the Pacific Seafarers Net, and
On the way back.
yeah, she got pretty good at it. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you enjoy these videos, one or two or all of them. I don't know how many there'll be, because I'm trying to keep them short rather than edit everything and get a little clips here and here and here. I'm just trying to do them more per day, and I'm really trying to keep them well under 10 minutes, under 5 if I can.
So we did learn a lot, and one of the things that was, I don't think it was a new revelation to me, but it was a good affirmation that the two of us could be out there it was 19 days over and 21 back, and that's a long time to be on a little boat in the middle of nowhere. And
with a little sleep.
With little sleep, and we really enjoyed it, and it's nice to have your mate be somebody you can be confined with like that for such a long time, and that you can still work together and get along, and that was a very satisfying part of the trip, was when we did have to solve a problem or work together. It was fun, and it was great. So.
Chris was amazing. She would get up for watch 3 in the morning, stick her head out with a big smile on her face and say hi. And it
what's happening?
Yeah. So choose your mate, choose your boat, get prepared.
We couldn't have chosen a better boat.
No, we're better mates. Yeah. If something happens, it's going to happen at 3 to 4 in the morning, when it's as dark and can be, and you're as tired as can be. That's when a really nice squall might hit you and spin the boat around, and you think it's going to flip over. But
and if it happened in the daytime, it wouldn't be nearly as bad because you could see where you're spinning.
And you could see the squalls coming as well.
But it was mostly good and mostly manageable and I'm going to say easy, but what you would want, skipping across the ocean is kind of the way I like to think of it. And it was
the nights when you see a meteor come across the sky and then explode, or the Milky Way as vivid as you can imagine, or dolphins dancing in front of the boat,
or the full moon,
or just the wind and blowing the boat along through the beautiful blue seas. It's worth doing, for sure, and we're giving it up. I don't think either one of us probably are going to do any more ocean passages, but it's kind of hard to turn our backs on it. On the other hand, we feel satisfied, and I'm really looking forward to getting a trimaran to skip across this lake on a nice windy day.
And we really enjoyed the people we met, and the cruising lifestyle is really wonderful, and we hope to keep in touch with some of the friends that we made on our trip and on other trips. And for me, it's it's just so all-consuming, and that's my reason for wanting to move on to other adventures. But I actually hope that we have some sailboat chartering in our future where we can get someplace, don't have to make the kind of preparations, and
It gets in your blood.
and then have the experience, and then come home and you've done it all inside of 3 weeks or a month, and visited some exotic places. But for me, it's about needing to move on to other adventures and enjoying this beautiful home that we live in.
So that's about it, I think. Did we cover everything we wanted to cover? We probably went on too long, but
So now you have a context for our videos, who we are, and what motivated us.
so this is the crew of the sailing vessel Sugar Pine signing off.